Okay, coming in now, our second and third place finishers of today's race. Our race runner-up was Greg Biffle. He's the driver of the number 16 3M Window Film Ford for Roush Fenway Racing. And our third place finisher is Clint Bowyer. He's the driver of the number 15 Peak Antifreeze Motor Oil Toyota for Michael Waltrip Racing. Let's first hear from Greg. Greg, you led a lot of laps today. You look like you were in contention for the win. Maybe tell us what happened there towards the end of the race, those final couple of restarts.
The last few restarts were actually really good for us. The 88, or somebody got, I think the 11 got shoved by, or they got a run on the top. And, this racetrack is so wide here. I didn't really even attempt to block or try and go up and block the upper lane, really, just because, you lose some momentum and it's so wide. So I just really focused on staying on the bottom and trying to keep the momentum up. That final restart, Clint gave us a huge push. And, we had a huge run at the 11 car. And I looked in the mirror and I saw the smoke behind me. And I wasn't really sure whether the caution was going to come out, and I didn't know what to do. And I thought about making my move on the 11 right then because I had a huge run and I could have. And then probably off of 2, I could have passed him again, got beside him and sucked by him. But I just didn't want to pass too early. That I was going to be the lone soldier in the outside lane, and I was going to be 15th by the time we got to, back around to the start-finish line. So I was just waiting. I was backing up off of him quite a bit on the backstretch, and I got probably 2.5, 3 cars away from him, and then they said caution's out. So that was, I was setting up to go by him, but just never had the chance. I wish I'd have known we weren't going to race back all the way back, but it was a good day for us. Everybody, the car was really fast, a lot of speed, and just happy to come out of here with a clean car.
And Clint, you certainly came on strong the last portion of that race. We're up there, had an opportunity to win. Just talk about your performance today.
Yeah, long day, long race, but it's all about being there at the end. The only way I know to guarantee myself and my team that I can at least give them a chance is to be patient and be boring, lead a boring race there for a while, and then go for broke at the end. And we did that. We got up in position, and everything was going right. It's just like Greg said, you're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. I liked the situation that I was in for sure. I knew Greg was going to try something, and we did have a big push at him, and you see those guys crashing in the rearview mirror, and you're like, well, history has shown that usually if they're straightened up, not sitting in the middle of the racetrack, we're going to finish this thing under green. So it's like Greg said, if you pull out right then and win the race right there, you might be 15th by the time you get 2 miles back over here to the start-finish line. So we finished third.
Questions for Greg or Clint? We'll start with Don. Back over your left shoulder, Constance. And then we'll go to Tom.
Don Coble with Morris News Service. Trust me, I'm back here somewhere. Where exactly were you on the track when the caution came out? And once you realized there was a bumper laying in the middle of the track, were you kind of surprised that they waited that long?
Yeah, so I was, we were about halfway down the back stretch, maybe, or so. About halfway down the back, I guess. And I thought when I saw the smoke and I was trying to make a decision to go or not, and I decided to wait. Well, I figured once we got in the middle 1 and 2, if the caution wasn't out then, it wasn't going to come out. I figured, okay, we're good all the way back. So I figured if it hadn't come out yet, we were going to be okay. And when I got back around, I was wondering why nobody told me that there was half of a car laying in the track. We probably aren't going to race back, so go ahead and try and pass them now. But that's a lot to happen in a short amount of time.
That's exactly right. I mean, you're sitting there waiting on your spotter to give you some kind of confirmation of whether or not we're going to race back to the start-finish line or not, so you can try to do something in a short amount of time. And they're doing the same thing. They're looking at that, and all the while trying to protect you. And
you're hoping they're looking at where you're at.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just it's a wild situation. It's actually funny. We all see the smoke, and it was 400 yards behind us. we're supposed to be looking out the windshield.
Okay, let's go with Tom right here, and then we'll go to Randy.
Hi, guys. Tom Jensen, FoxSports.com. For either of you, we have 3 hours of building tension, and the laps wind down, and it's going to be a big shootout at the end and all that. How frustrating is it for the night to end under yellow, or the race to end under yellow?
It's just frustrating because of the simple fact that we both, thought that we had an opportunity to pounce and make a move for the win. It's not. NASCAR did the right thing there. I mean, you can't put people in danger right there. And if another green-white checkered, everybody had been out of gas. I mean, it's just too much going on right there. And unfortunately, we don't always see that crazy, wild finish to the end. But I don't think that's on NASCAR. I think they did the right thing there. And unfortunately, it was just didn't lead to that big, wild, crazy finish right there at the end.
Randy?
Yeah, Randy Covert's Kansas City Star. One question for both of you, then one for Greg. We got Kansas coming up. But both of you guys, aching to win and in contract years, I mean, coming so close now, is it frustrating or is it a little gratifying that you guys are there but not there?
Well, anytime you finish on the podium at Talladega, you're somewhat excited, but anytime you're that close to the front and taking that checkered flag, it's pretty easy to get greedy in this sport. So it's kind of, just a little bit of both.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of bittersweet for us. We've run a little bit better in the last couple weeks, and, I wasn't sure how we're going to run here. And I was extremely happy with the speed my car had on Friday and then today all day. Really happy with it. So our restrictor plate program is in decent shape. We still got some work to do, but it sure would have been nice to win, to get a win toward the chase. But we've got some great racetracks coming up as well, and it would have been nice.
Speaking of which, great racetracks for you. 5 guys have won Kansas twice, including you. Just what would it mean to step on the podium next week and be that first guy to win 3 for lots of reasons, I suppose?
Yeah, I didn't know that stat. It would be, I'd be super excited to win there to start with, but to be a guy to win, first guy to win 3 there would be pretty neat. I love that racetrack. It's a lot of fun to race on. Puts on a good race.
Thanks, Greg.
Yep.
Appreciate that.
Clint really wants to win there too.
Real good place to go visit.
I love Kansas. I love Clint's hometown too.
Clint loves Kansas too. Let's come over here to Dustin. Where are you at, Dustin? Go ahead.
Dustin Long, MRN.com. Clint, if you can talk about, was it any more challenging coming up through the pack? I think some guys kind of talked about they felt like it was kind of, was it becoming more difficult? And if so, why? Because this is certainly a place everybody kind of thinks you can go back and forth so much.
I don't think it's becoming more difficult. Ever since we've kind of went to this last rule package, it's really locked the pack together, and you just kind of get gridlocked. No separation, and you don't really have that big pull up to the front car. As fast as they used to, where you could kind of manipulate the situation and get yourself going. There's a lot of side drafting and things like that, but at the end of the day, when you're doing that, you're kind of stalling both cars out with this package. So, timing for me today, you couldn't, start of a run, you couldn't just blast up through them. There was no way. They were 3 wide without trying to force the issue and going 4 wide and doing something stupid early in the race. There was no way you could do that. For me, you just had to wait, let them thin out, let those tires wear out a little bit. It looked to me around 20 to 25 laps into a run, things would kind of separate out and calm down. Saw some separation in the cars, then you could get a run and kind of, drive your way up to the front.
All right, let's go over here to Marty Smith, right behind you there, Constance.
Marty Smith, ESPN, for both of you guys. Is there any sort of code or understanding among the driving corps, especially at these tracks, that if you're many, many laps down, not 1 or 2, that you drive differently or get out of the way or move or anything like that?
Seems like common sense is one of your strong suits.
Thank you, Clint. So that's your answer? It's a common sense decision?
Looked to me like it.
All right.
Other questions? Let's go here to Mike in the middle.
Right back here behind the cameras, fellas. For both of you, today's race was rather warm. I heard multiple drivers on the scanner saying that they were having problems with their feet getting rather hot. Was this the most discomfort you've had so far in the car this year?
It's just excruciating out there. It's unbelievable.
I'm glad somebody else's feet were hot because mine were on fire all day, and I can't. It wasn't even that hot out. I just don't.
Did you do the old crossover for a little while?
Yeah, I was trying. My heels are burned up.
I had to use my left foot for a little while. They do get hot.
I'm not sure why.
Pays pretty damn good though, so
yes,
we'll be fine.
It does suffer. Up off the ground, off the hot floor. Yeah. Yeah.
Other
Whatever.
questions?
Pick it up, stick it out the window, whatever you do, it's hot.
It was hot.
Holly?
It wasn't hot inside.
Holly Kane, NASCAR.com. Greg, so often in these restrictor plate races, the fastest car doesn't necessarily win, or the best car on the day, but you were up there and you led laps and you were in contention all day and you finished runner-up. So could you just talk a little bit about, I imagine that's pretty satisfying. Would have been a bummer not to finish that well after the day.
Yeah, it would have been. I just wish I was in where the 11 was in that final restart when the white came out, and they were getting ready to make a run at me. But it was pretty satisfying to finish. Once we got the outside lane got a push there towards the end, and I got shuffled back to about third row, and we were 3 wide. I was nervous that the bottom lane was going to start stalling out, because it seems like the bottom lane, for some reason, when the outside 2 lanes get up there, it seems like the bottom lane sort of wants to stall. But if the outside lane isn't shoved up there that far, the bottom lane seems to have speed. So it's kind of weird how that works. But I was extremely happy to finish second. We've been moving up a little bit in points. I know it doesn't mean that all that much this day and time, but or it's not really points, right? It's the wins or whatever. But it'll help us kind of keep trudging toward the front a little bit.
Final question right here, Stan.
Hi, guys. Stan Creekmore with RPMTonight.com. Were either one of you surprised or willing to take the time to be surprised that Earnhardt wasn't up there in the, among the 4 or 5 cars that were...
Well, he was leading. He was leading until the caution came out and he pitted. So he would have been probably still leading or right there if he wouldn't have pit. So he was on the same, I thought he was on the same plan as everyone else, but he was the only car that pit from the lead.
Yeah.
I don't think he was there then.
Yeah. I'm a big fan, but I don't really care.
He just was dominant, and he makes that pit. They can't get anywhere.
Yeah,
What
it's
did you
hard
have for?
Man, I'm telling you what, it's hard to pass here. It
is
I was back there, got shuffled out of line and got moved to the back, and you just hold to the floor, and there's nowhere to go. The car just, you try a lane, the third lane, it just stalls out, won't go. So it's hard to get back up there.
Are we done?
Yes, sir. We're done. We'll see you, Kansas.
Good job, Greg.
Thank
Thanks.
you.